I used to think smart tech made our lives safer. I loved controlling my entire world with a swipe on my phone. But after last winter, I will never live in a house with a smart lock again. I do not think I will ever feel truly safe in any home ever again. Back in November, I needed a quiet place to finish my architectural portfolio. My colleague's uncle owned a high-tech cabin upstate that was sitting empty. He agreed to let me stay there cheap just to have someone keeping an eye on the place. The cabin was beautiful, surrounded by thick pine woods, 20 minutes from the nearest town. But the owner was obsessed with automation. The entire house was run by a smart system called Central. Every door had an electronic lock. The lights, the thermostat, the cameras, everything was connected to a hub in the utility closet. When I arrived, it felt amazing. Walk in, and a calm, automated female voice echoes through the ceiling speakers. Front door unlocked. Welcome home. It made me feel secure. I set up my desk in the living room, facing the large glass windows, looking out into the dark woods. During my second week, the system started acting up. I would set the thermostat to 72 before bed, but at 3 a.m. I would wake up shivering, finding it reset to exactly 55 degrees. Then, the kitchen lights started turning on by themselves. I called the owner. He was confused. He said he had not even downloaded the app yet, and I was the only admin. He suggested I reboot the router. That night, things got worse. I was lying in bed trying to fall asleep when the smart speaker in my room clicked on. It did not play music. It just emitted a soft, static hiss. Then I heard it. It was the distinct sound of slow, heavy breathing coming right through the speaker. I jumped up and unplugged it. My heart was racing. I stood there in the dark, trying to convince myself it was just radio interference. But there were no neighbors for miles. The next morning, I checked the system log on my phone, and that is when my blood ran cold. At 3:14 a.m., my bedroom lock had been engaged. Then, at 3:17 a.m., the log read, "Master override key used. Inner lock deactivated." I had never used an override key. I did not even have one. I checked further back. Almost every night, around 3 in the morning, the master override key was being registered. I called the police. 2 deputies came out, but they found no signs of forced entry. An older deputy shrugged, saying these gadgets are always buggy, and some hacker was probably just messing with the server. They told me to lock the manual deadbolts, but there were none. Every lock was fully digital. That evening, a massive winter storm rolled in. By 8, the wind was screaming and snow was piling up. Around 10, the power went out. The cabin plunged into pitch blackness. I felt a wave of relief. No power meant no internet and no remote access. I went to bed, pulling the blankets up to my chin. I woke up suddenly. The room was freezing. I could see my breath in the moonlight. My phone was completely dead. Suddenly, a sharp chime echoed through the dark house. It was the startup sound of the smart hub. But how? The power was still out. Then, the automated female voice spoke from the ceiling speaker. "System running on auxiliary battery backup." My chest tightened. "Front door unlocked," the voice said, flat and mechanical. I froze. I did not breathe. "Living room motion detected," the voice announced. I felt a tear of pure terror slip down my cheek. I stared at my bedroom door, which was cracked open. "Hallway motion detected," the voice said. Whoever it was, they were coming for me. I slid out of bed, my bare feet hitting the cold floor. I grabbed a heavy ceramic mug from my nightstand, my hand shaking violently. "Master bedroom door open," the voice whispered from the ceiling. The door slowly creaked open. I stood in the corner, hiding in the shadow of the wardrobe. A tall, thin man stepped into the moonlight. He wore a filthy, tattered coat, his hair wild and matted. But what terrified me was what he held. A small glowing tablet wired to a battery pack. He did not look at the bed. He looked up at the ceiling speaker. He tapped his screen and the speaker hissed. He spoke into his device, his voice raspy and close. "I told you to keep it at 55 degrees. I screamed, threw the mug at his face and bolted. The mug shattered against his shoulder. He gasped, dropping the tablet. I sprinted down the dark hallway, ran into the utility closet, and slammed the heavy door, sliding the manual iron bar into place. Outside, I heard his dragging footsteps, but he did not pound on the door. Instead, I heard the electronic click of the lock. "Utility room locked," the automated voice announced. He had locked me in. I turned around, using the blue light of the server rack to see. The rack had been pulled forward. Behind it, in the wall, was a large, crudely cut opening leading into the crawl space. I crawled inside with a small flashlight. In the dirt, there was a sleeping bag, empty bottles, and a monitor wired to the cabin's security cameras. The previous owner had never left. He had built a hidden space under the floorboards before the bank seized the property. He was not hacking me. He was living under my feet, watching me sleep on his monitor. Through the closet door, I heard his raspy voice. "You are in my house," he whispered. "You are using my electricity." I did not answer. I scrambled through the tight crawl space, dragging myself toward the external ventilation grate. I kicked the plastic grate until it shattered and tumbled out into the freezing snow. I ran through the blizzard barefoot until a snowplow driver found me on the road, suffering from severe hypothermia. The police searched the cabin the next day. The utility room was empty, the server rack pushed back. The man was gone, taking his things. They found his entry hatch under the back deck. They never caught him. I live in a small, old apartment now. It has creaky floors and a rusted iron lock that requires a physical key. But sometimes, when the temperature drops a few degrees at night, I lie awake in the dark, and I wonder if there is someone in the walls, waiting for me to fall asleep so they can change the settings.